Hey there folks, Jason here with another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. Today we're going to have a 2500 point engagement, Warriors of Chaos versus Beastmen. I am trying out a monster heavy list, whereas my opponent is going to be trying out what he thinks would be in a new Beastmen army book when it is updated, hopefully in the not too distant future. He laments the age and weaknesses in his army book, and I've encouraged him to come up with what he believes would be a viable set of rules, mostly point changes, some changes to the lore of the wild, and a couple other things, and so he's going to give that a test drive today. So let's move on now to the proposed rule changes. Okay, so here we have, we're going to go through the individual models and their changes. So Gore are now 10 points per model. They come with a shield, a free swap to an additional hand weapon. They remain at strength 4. Their command option, 3 options are 10 points each. And one unit in the army can take a magic standard up to 25 points, so that's a big boost for them. Best of Gore are probably the scariest change, at least for me. They're 14 points per model, 2 attacks, free halberd, again, and command are 10 points per option as well. Razor Gore are now 35 points per model and have a 5-up armor save. Centaur are now core choice at 18 points per model, and command, same cost as the others. Ungore 4 points per model, free swap to spears, and command is 10 points each. No change to the raiders, and Warhounds now count towards minimum core and getting the Beastmen ambush rule. Okay, let's now move on to some more of the fun stuff, or more fun stuff. Tuskor Chariot, 60 points per model, 5 points for spiked wheels, which gets you d6 plus 1 impact hits, similar to the Warriors of Chaos book. Razor Gore is 95 points per model, and then 5 points for spiked wheels. Cygor is 135 points per model now, significant decrease, but no change from the book. Gorgon is 175 points. Giant is 150 points per model, but I believe keeps the same rules as in the Beastmen book. Jabberslythe is now 175 points, again, no change. Now we get to some of the characters. The Beast Lord is 145 points per model. Flail is 2 points. Halberd is 4-point option. It gets 5 attacks, and the Chaos Gifts no longer count against magic item allowance. You're going to see this a lot in the characters. And it can also take a chariot as a mount. Wargore is 80 points per model, 4 attacks. Flail is 1 point, and Chaos Gifts no longer count, and it has a magic allowance up to 25 points. Okay, let's move through the rest of the characters. Great Bray Shaman, 185 points per model. Bray Staff is 6 points and counts as a great weapon. It can take a chariot as a mount, and Chaos Gifts don't count, up to 50 points max. Bray Shaman is 65 points per model. Bray Staff is 3 points for it, but I don't believe it counts as a great weapon. Mounts is listed above, so it can take a chariot, and has a 25-point max Chaos Gift allowance. Doombull, Flail is 4 points, Halberd is 6 points, Chaos Gifts up to 50 points, and Gorebull is 135 points per model, Flail is 2 points, Halberd 4 points, and it has a 25-point magic allowance. And those are all the characters. Okay, some of the biggest changes, aside from the point value, mostly drops, in the proposed new Beastmen rules that we play tested were in the Lore of the Wild. The lore attribute now means that whenever Lore of Wild spells successfully cast, all units within 12 inches of the caster get +1 strength and initiative until the next magic phase, and this can stack up to 3 times. That can make the Beastmen pretty tough and promote spamming. But we'll see how that plays out. Bestial Surge is an augment, and this was an expected change where all friendly units within 6 inches of the caster can make a random movement of d6 plus 1 toward the nearest enemy unit, which means they can now be magicked into combat, but they have to roll separately. Vile Tide is a magic missile with no change. Devolve is a hex with the same effect, which means you roll leadership, and anything you roll above, you take a wound. That almost got off pretty nastily on some of my guys during the game. You'll see. Brace Cream is an augment, no change. Trader Kin is a hex, no change. Mantle of Gorok essentially stays the same, but removes the rule. Additionally, if 1 or more 6s is rolled, the model suffers a wound with no saves of any kind allowed. We get rid of that. Savage Dominion is a special type, no change. So those are the changes to the Lore of the Wild. And now let's go on to the battle report. But before we go into the actual battle report, let's take a look at our 2 armies, and we'll start with my Beastman opponent. So he took a Beast Lord with Trollhide, Halberd, and Dragonbane Gem, a Great Bray Shaman with level 4 Lore of the Wild, Talisman of Preservation, Dispel Scroll, and the Bray Staff. Gorbel BSB with Halberd, Armor of Destiny. He's going to go in, I believe, with the Minotaurs. 39 Gore with full command, additional hand weapons, and standard discipline. 2 Tuskor Chariots with spiked wheels. 5 Raiders, 10 Centigore. 30 Bestigore with halberds, full command, and the effing Totem of Rust, which I had no idea what it was, but I quickly grew not to like it as warriors. 2 Razor Gore, 6 Minotaurs with full command, 1 Razor Gore Chariot with spiked wheels, and a Cygore. And now for my warriors list. I'm trying to build toward an all monsters only. I don't have the models yet, so I want to try out Slaanesh. I hadn't really done it before, so I of course started with the one, the only Kolek Sun Eater, and then took 2 level 2 sorcerers. One had both with Lord Slaanesh, one has Enchanted Shield and the Dispel Scroll. The other one has the Charm Shield, Skull of Katam, and the Terrifying Mask of E. Then I have a Slaanesh BSB, the +1 Strength Sword, Helm of Many Eyes. What was the other one that I had? Sorry about that. Helm of Many Eyes, Luckstone for the one-time reroll armor save, the Allure of Slaanesh, which means anybody that wants to attack him has to pass a leadership test, and Soul Feeder. And then I had 33 Chaos Marauders, Mark of Slaanesh with flails and light armor, 10 Forsaken with Mark of Slaanesh, 2 groups of 5 Chaos Warhounds, both with Vanguard, Chimera with Regen and Flaming Breath, and 2 Shaggoths with additional hand weapons. Now, let's actually go on to the battle reports. It's another battle report. This time, again, Warriors of Chaos versus Beastmen, but this time we're playing the new Beastmen army book, the one that has secretly been released, that only my opponent and I have access to. Now, as I mentioned, or I typed in the beginning of the video, what we're going to do is try to play some experimental rules that he and some of the other Beastmen players on the Hearthstone think that a new book might look like. And we're going to give those a shot just to see how it plays. He's repointed some things, different spells, so we're going to go through it and we're going to give it a shot. We are playing 2,500 point battle, and it's Battle for the Pass. And I'm going to go through my army, and then I will attempt to go through his, because he's got some changes based on the new, the pseudo, in quote, new book. But let's go through mine first. So, first off, I have, my general is Kolek, and he has brought a coterie of Shaggoths with him. So, to his right is a Shaggoth with 2 hand weapons, stood in by a Dragon Ogre, because my Shaggoth models are in the mail. And then they decided to pair up with a Slaanesh-themed list. So I have 10 Forsaken of Slaanesh, which gives them Swift Stride. 34 Marauders with Flails, Light Armor, Mark of Slaanesh. And full command. In there is my BSB, who is combat-oriented, and 2 Sorcerers of Slaanesh, 1 on either corner, hopefully to minimize miscast damage. And then to his left, we have 2 units of Warhounds with Vanguard, a Chimera, and another Shaggoth. Again, both Shaggoths have 2 hand weapons. And then for my opponent's list, over on the left, we have a Razor Gore, and then Gore with 2 hand weapons. Yep. And Centigore, who are now in core, so we're going to see how that plays out. And they have spears and a 4-up save?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got a block of 30-ish Bestigore, now with halberds, they don't have to take great weapons. And your Beast Lord in there, right?
Yes, and my level 4s in.
Oh, okay. And then Raiders, a Tuskor Chariot, a bunch of Minotaurs with a Gore Bull.
Yes, and full command, actually.
And full command. A Razor Gore, a Tuskor Chariot behind it, and then a Razor Gore Chariot, and in the back, Little Billy, who hasn't fared well lately against the Warriors, has been supplanted by a Cygore Stone Thrower. So, you've already seen the point changes, and so we're going to let this play out. So we're going to go to Magic here, go over our spells that we got. Okay, so as to what we rolled up for Magic, my Beastman opponent took a tweaked Lore of the Wild. So the first spell is Bestial Surge, now rewritten to allow random movement, which can get you into a charge. And then Devolve is take a leadership test, take as many wounds as you fail your leadership test by. Bray Scream is
It's strength 3 breath weapon, no armor saves.
Okay. And then Mantle of Gorok is the strength and toughness, or strength and attack bonus, but on a 6, you take a wound.
But no longer.
But no longer.
With the rewrite.
Oh, you took the bad thing out.
Yeah.
And then I rolled up, so I have 2 level 2s. One of them ended up getting Hysterical Frenzy and Acquiescence, 2 of which that I was hoping for. And then the other one rolled up Pavan of Slanesh, which I wasn't excited about, but then we got off Cacophonic Choir. So that's good, considering we're going to be in grips here pretty soon. That 24-inch range for most of these, except for Cacophonic Choir, should do me well. So we're going to go on and see who gets the first turn, and so we'll see you at the bottom of turn. End of Warriors turn 1. I rolled I got a +1 to go first, and ended up rolling a 6, so auto first. No charges. I did Vanguard and move up my Warhounds. And then I sent a Shaggoth, the Chimera, and 2 sets of Warhounds up one side. And then Kolek, another Shaggoth, my Forsaken, and then my infantry block up this side. So you can see how I'm kind of set up here. I'm trying to bait his Centaur into a charge, or he's going to have to charge them, and then maybe overrun to the swamp. They're not frenzied, are they?
No.
Okay. Damn. Still not getting I still don't think I'm doing the flea thing right, but we'll see. So, Magic, I rolled Snake Eyes, which is awesome. And it's been about pretty on par for what I've been rolling the past couple of games. So I tried the Skull of Katam and channeled once, and then rolled a 1. So I had 3 dice, and one of my wizards lost leadership. It's actually that one. And attempted to cast Acquiescence on a unit. Failed to cast on 2 dice, needing the Pavan, I needed 7 on 2 dice, didn't get it, with a level 2. And then I attempted a 50-50 shot on Acquiescence on the Minotaurs, needing a 4 or better, didn't get that either. So I'm in the magic phase. In the shooting phase, try to call down Kolek's Lightning Strike. You roll a d6, and on anything but a 1, you bring down d6 strength 6 hits on any unit within 24 inches. I, of course, rolled a 1, which brought the lightning down on Kolek. My opponent rolled 6 strength 6 hits, and fortunately he's got the 2-up ward save. Only 2 of them wounded because he's toughness 6. So I saved both of those, but now he's frenzied. And so we are now on to Beastmen turn 1. Beastman turn 2. He had no charges. He backed up some guys. He had his Gore unit with his Caster General and go into the building. He didn't do anything with his Centaur. He shuffled the Raiders over to the left, so they're in the middle now, to point at where the Warhounds used to be. He turned his halberd-wielding Bestigor over to the right, shuffled up his Cygor, backed up the chariot a little bit, the Tuskor there.
This one, yep.
Moved the Minotaur up, so they're hiding behind a barrier, so we've got a standoff here. We're both behind barriers for the -1 to hit.
Mexican standoff.
Right. He trucked up the 2 chariots on the right, his Tuskor and his Razor Gore a little bit, so he's 16.5 inches away. And I think that was pretty much... Oh, he moved the Razor Gore over from the left to the right because he's afraid of my Shaggoth. Probably with good reason. What else? So that was it. Magic, he rolled a 3 and a 2. Neither of us channeled. He attempted to, or he did, cast the template with no armor saves on my dogs, killing 2. So it's strength 3, no armor saves, killed 2. They failed their leadership 9 break check and fled 11 inches, did not take any damage to the dangerous terrain going through the middle. That is the swamp. Is that the swamp? No, it's not the swamp. Anyways, we call the dangerous terrain. There are 2 swamps. And he shot at the Chimera, did nothing. His Stone Thrower tried to plant on my unpainted Dragon Ogre, which I guess you should kill that one off first because it's unpainted. And deviated off, almost hit the Warhounds again. They've been having a bad game so far. And we have no combat, and so on to Warriors turn 2.
Alright, end of a very rough Warriors turn 2. And so what did I do? I charged my Shaggoth into the building, thinking I gotta loot these guys up somewhere, and I thought I'd do a lot better. Turns out I didn't, but we'll get to that. Moved the Warhounds around the backside just to get them out of the way. I charged the Forsaken into the Raiders that were at the 12 o'clock position on the Pond Swamp there. Kolek was frenzied, and I figured I gotta get him to combat at some point. So, charged him into the Bestigor with 2 attacks each now. I'm not sure about that. And then sent the Shaggoth in, his regular Shaggoth in with him. Those were my only charges. The dogs did not rally. And movement shuffled these guys over so they're behind the fence and his chariots can't make contact with me. Magic, I rolled an 11 or a 10 and I channeled once, so at 11 dice. Tried to draw out some of those Dispel dice. I got Hysterical Frenzy off on the other Shaggoth. And I tried to do Pavan of Slanesh on the chariot over on the right, and it didn't wound. And then I tried to do Acquiescence on the Bestigor unit, and he threw all his dice at that, I blew it up. Shooting phase, D6, Kolek managed to do some damage this time, rolled properly, and then rolled 4 strength 6 hits, all of which wounded, or 3 of 4 of which wounded, so there's 3 wounds on the Cygor now. Then we went to combat, and I forget what order we did it in, but, so Shaggoths, monsters don't do well going into buildings, especially with a 4-up armor save. So he, and I didn't realize that they got to replenish their ranks, so I didn't roll well at all, so he only did 3 wounds, and then 21 attacks back, ended up killing him outright, which sucked, because I didn't make a single armor save, 4-up armor save. So that was the end of that. My Chimera I put in the rear to flame the Centaur, and it didn't, I forgot to do it. But, so the predictably beat the Raiders, overran, and to the side of the Centaur, so they're not going to get their charge bonus, which is good for the Forsaken. And then for the big combat over here, he declared a challenge.
No, you did.
I did. That was a dumb move. Anyways, I wanted to get him rooted out, because that's his general. That's why I did it. So I declared a challenge. He accepted. At first he was going to run to the back, but then he figured out they couldn't use his leadership, so he stayed up front. So Kolek and that guy are in a challenge. Kolek, then he has some banner around here somewhere that gives him the Banner of Rust that's -1 to every unit within 12 inches, and then -2 armor save to the unit in base contact.
Yeah, -1 to 6 inches.
Yeah. So that's not good, because I guess now they can take a magic banner?
They always could.
Okay. So, really, the Shaggoth has no armor save, and Kolek has much less of an armor save, because they have halberds now. So in the challenge, I didn't do a single, I did 3 wounds to him, and all I do is get 1 wound pass, because then it's D3 wounds for his weapon, and he regened them all.
3 of them.
All 3 of them, and did a wound to me, snuck 1 through. And then the Shaggoth did a fair number of wounds, and we say 8 between
attacks and thunderstomps.
the thunderstomps, but then he had 5 wounds go back because they have 2 attacks now. So he's hurting. Fortunately, the Hysterical Frenzy didn't do any damage to him, but I don't think he's going to be long for this world. So that is the end of my a rather rough Warriors turn 2. Let's see what the Beastmen can do. Alright, end of Beastmen turn 2, and the terrible rolling for the Warriors of Chaos continues. So, well, not completely, but just where it matters. So he moved his gore block out of the building. He didn't do anything with the Centaur because they were charged in the flank. He moved up the Minotaurs a little bit. He moved up the Chariots a little bit. He moved the Razor Gore kind of over there. And didn't move the Cygor. Didn't really move anybody else. So that's essentially it for movement. For magic, it was a pretty decent roll, right? You tried to get off the devolve spell. Well, first you tried to cast. That was the only spell you tried to do, isn't it?
Yeah. So I went in range.
Yeah. So he tried to devolve. I threw all my dice at it and killed it. shooting phase, he tried to drop a rock on that unit. You can see the template. And instead rolled a misfire and took another wound on his Cygor.
4 or 5.
And then we went to combat. And the first combat we did was not fun for him. So my Forsaken in the side, even though they rolled always strikes last, and he got +2 initiative for rolling something on his drunken table.
Sober for once.
Right. He failed his fear check, so he was hitting me on 5s and wounding me on 4s and didn't do anything. And I did 3 wounds, 3 wounds, and flank charge. He broke. He ran off the table because he bounced everything, and I had to pursue. And so we're over here. So he lost that badly, so there went that unit. But then over here, so Kolek had 8 attacks, and I think I may have hit with 2 of them.
Something like that.
2 or 3 of them. And then so they wounded, and then he made all of his regens. And then the Thunder Stomp, I got 3 or 4, and 2 got through. So his general has 2 wounds.
Well, 1 got through, 2 wounds on the D3.
No, 2 got through. 2 got through. Because I don't get D3 on my Thunderstorms.
You're right.
So, that'd be awesome if I did. This game would be going a little bit differently right now. But he killed off the other Shaggoth, which also rolled terribly. I think it killed 2 guys. And even though it had 7 attacks. So that's not average. My new dice, my new Imperial Fist yellow dice, aren't quite performing up to snuff. Or it's just me. So Kolek lost combat by 3. And failed and broke. Fortunately, they didn't run him down. He doesn't get Swift Stride, though, so I was worried they were going to catch him. He rolled a 6, and they rolled a 3. Thank God. So he gets to rally, I hope. And, yeah. So we're going to go into Warriors turn 3 and see if we can salvage something out of this. Okay, end of Warriors 3. And this turn went a little bit better. Oh, no, it's not. But we're gonna finish it up later. I have to kill a Razor Gore. Okay, so what did I do? Over here, I charged the Forsaken into the Razor Gore that's just sitting over here. It's probably not the best use, but I gotta clear this stuff out. Over here, Kolek rallied, and then I charged the block of Slaanesh flails into the Razor Gore. Just to kind of clear it out. I was hoping to spook it with Terror check, because one of my wizards has a Terrifying Mask of E. He passed, of course. And what else did I do? Oh, I charged the Chimera into the rear of the Bestigor. And the dogs rallied. And I know it looks weird from this perspective, but they're an inch apart. So then we went on to Magic, and I had a really good Magic phase in terms of dice, but I didn't get a single thing off. I think I first attempted Acquiescence on the Bestigor, and he threw all of his dice at it. And then I tried Cacophonic Choir on the Bestigor, and he Dispel Scrolled it, so at least I got that out of the way. And then I did Pavana Slaanesh on the General, and he passed his 3d6 leadership test. Like a boss.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
So he's punking Kolek.
He is not punking Kolek. Kolek is rolling poorly. And then we went to combat, and I crushed the Razor Gore, unsurprisingly. I didn't do all that well with the Chimera. He gave the guy the Dragonbane Helm, so all of my flaming attacks wouldn't do any good against him. So I had to go after the unit between flaming attacks and the Chimera's attacks, and then the Thunderstomps. I think I killed like 12 guys?
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, yeah. Pretty good amount, but didn't break steadfast. Over there, I will beat that. I can't imagine I'm going to lose to the Razor Gore. Stranger things have happened if I just jinx myself. So that's really it. I am not in a good position here at all. I need to decide what I'm going to do with Kolek. He's going to get charged by only the Minotaur, so we'll have to see what we can do with that. So on to Beastmen turn 3. What a turn this was. That was Beastmen 3?
Beastmen's stupid.
Beastmen 3, I think. No, it was Beastmen... Damn it, we always do this. It's either Beastmen 3 or Beastmen 4. Right, it was your turn, right?
I don't know. It was something.
Yeah, you charged in with the Minotaurs.
Yeah, no, it was
I think it might have been Beastmen 3.
It was
We'll,
definitely my turn.
we'll find out. So, he charges Minotaurs in to...
Kolek.
No, that was my turn. Wasn't it?
Well, I couldn't have charged Kolek if it was your turn.
Oh, yeah, I rallied. Okay, there. We digress. It's Beastmen turn 4, probably. So he charges Minotaurs into Kolek. Yeah, it was. Beastmen 4 charged his Minotaurs into Kolek. Moved his Gore unit up by marching and by doing the I'm a Beastman, I'm going to run forward spell. We'll get out of the magic phase. And that was it. You didn't do anything with the chariot? Did you move them up a little bit or not at all? Not at all. So then we went to magic, and you had a decent magic. It was like you got like 8 dice. And you tried to do the devolve spell on my Manticore. I threw all my dice at that. No, first you tried to do the move spell. And we thought you didn't get it off because you rolled double ones, but you made it through, right?
Yep.
So that moved him into... First he went up and touched the swamp, took some dangerous terrain tests. Then he moved forward again, and he decided that he wanted to take dangerous terrain tests, although I think the rules say he wouldn't have to. And he moved him close enough that he could do devolve on the Chimera, which I blew up with all my dice, and then he tried to do something else on...
Mantle of Gore on the Gore Wall.
And I dispel scrolled that, because there's no way I'm letting that get off on the board. So, shooting was non-existent, and then we went on to combat. And finally, after some taunting that Kolek has been getting all game, and basically sucking because of that rust banner, Kolek took another
4 wounds.
4 wounds. He had 3 before, he's got a total of 8 wounds, he's got 1 left. I declared a challenge, the Gore Bull BSB fled like a bitch. So, he was in base-to-base with the unit, and he took a bunch of hits, and he barely hung on, because he doesn't get an armor save, because it's minus 3, and I made... Right, so his 2-up went to a suck-up, and so he took 5 wounds. And then finally, and he didn't fail his... They're immune to psychology, so they didn't fail their fear check, they didn't have to worry about one. So Kolek stands up, and he's like, enough of this. And he had 8 attacks, and I think he rolled 6.
Yeah, 6 of them wounded.
6 of them wounded, each with D3 attacks. I think I did a total of 17 wounds. Just crushed that unit with...
Yeah.
There was the Gorble BSB left, and then a Minotaur with 2 wounds.
Yeah.
And, of course, he broke on double ones. I mean, he had double ones, and he broke twice, or failed twice. I elected not to pursue because at that point the next combat was still going on, so he lost his BSB. So his mighty Minotaur unit is down to 1 guy who better not freaking rally the rest of this game. So that's it. I restrained because at the time we still had the Bestigor unit to go, and so his Beast Lord kind of flubbed his attacks, I think, or I rolled really well regen saves.
Yeah, you rolled well in regen.
So I think my Chimera took 2 wounds.
Yep.
Between that, because he's initiative 2, and then just wrecked-faced and broke steadfast. So they lost combat. The BSB's gone. They didn't get a reroll, but he rolled like 12 to flee. So he fled through here. He is less than 25%, so he's going to need double ones to rally. And then the Chimera had to stop an inch away from Kolek, so they're kind of staring at each other, probably trying to figure out what the hell went wrong this game.
Blowing kisses.
Right, I know. It's some weird mating going on. So this was a big turn. I still don't have any points for this, except for the BSB. But this was a pretty big turn for the Warriors. So we're going to go on to Warriors, either 4 or 5 now, and see what else we're going to do. I still have to deal with this guy down here. But we shall see. End of, I guess we're going to say Warriors turn 5. So what did I do? It was kind of a convoluted charge declaration because I wanted to get folks out of the way. I didn't want to get charged by the score block. So what did I do? I moved over here, and I had the Warhounds, who were barely in range of the Minotaur, charge it. And so it fled, and they filled their charge and moved up a couple inches. I had then the Chimera come in and charge the Gore, which it did, and they stood. I had Kolek, whose way was now clear, charge the Minotaur again, who's in range, and it fled again. And then I had him redirect into the... is that a Tuskor or Razor? Tuskor chariot. It failed its terror check, and it is fleeing. And then that cleared the room for me to pivot and charge into my Marauder block into his Gore unit. So those were all of the charges. I turned these guys around over here, so my Warhounds and my Forsaken are moving this way to clear stuff up. Billy is over there just watching. I think that's everything. He has forgotten about his chariots, much to his detriment. So I was tempted to charge off the general, go after him, but if I failed to charge, I would have blocked Kolek, and I was trying to get Kolek out of the way and far enough away from his general so he couldn't do any monkey business. Because I used my Dispel Scroll, I'm afraid he's going to try to snipe him. Which is probably what he's going to do. So we went to Magic, and I had a decent phase, but I either failed to cast or he blocked everything, even though I rolled pretty well on the Skull of Catan. So that was kind of uneventful. We went into combat, the only combat we had, and my guy declared a challenge. He won a challenge, so he needs to roll on the Eye of the Gods table. We'll worry about that. But I ended up winning by 1. So he's stuck, but now my Marauder's only strength 3 versus strength 5.
4.
Or 4. And I think he might No, I've got a few more than he does. So let's hope my characters can do some damage here. I wasn't able to kill off his wizard. Did I do 1 wound?
Yes.
1 wound. And so my Chimera is down to 3 wounds. And so we're going to go into Beastmen turn 5 and see what he can do here. This is going to be a pretty brutal combat. End of Beastmen 6. End of the game. And the Warriors pulled it out. But only barely. So what happened? Nothing really... Did you forget to move your chariots again? Where'd they end up? Oh, you turned them around.
The 1 turn.
Yeah, okay.
That
so
was big. That was huge.
Yeah, he had no charges. His general did not rally. The chariot over there did, opposite Kolek. Kolek with 1 wound. And so his magic, he tried to devolve Kolek, and he got the spell off, but I threw all my dice at it, didn't get it, and I rolled an 8 for my leadership 9. If he would have killed my general, the Chaos Gods saved their fickleness for a later turn. So, you remember when I said we have to roll the Eye of the Gods chart for my BSB one in challenge? So we rolled it this time, and I rolled Snake Eyes. And then I failed my leadership test, which means it turned into a spawn. My awesome BSB, Lord of Slanesh. Now I have a Slanesh spawn, which I don't even know what that does, but probably something like that. So clearly not as good as my BSB. So that was an inauspicious way to start off turn 6. So that's my Be'lakor model over there, is my Demon Prince. So Magic, he got off Mantle of Gorok on his Wizard, making him a stud. And then he got his Lore attribute off, which is +1 weapon skill and initiative for every unit within 6 inches? 12 inches.
Oh, yeah.
12 inches, maybe 6 inches.
Let me do Jason. Oh, your army's so terrifying.
It is! Look
Beat
it!
the hell
Look
out
it!
of it.
There's nothing left. There's nothing left. Yeah, okay. So, so he got that off, and I was a little worried about that, because that meant that his Gores were striking at the same initiative as my now Strength 3 Marauders. And I think the weapon skill was the same now, so I'm hitting on 4s instead of 3s, which had me worried. So we went into combat, and I declared a challenge with my champion. His general accepted and crushed me because I killed his champion the last turn. So he got max overkill on that. But so he passed. We did it out of order. He passed his Primal Fury test, but failed his Fear test. So it means he was weapon skill 1. So he's hitting me on 5s, re-rolling, and it still came out pretty close. He, I think I did like 3 more wounds than he did, maybe a little bit more than that, which is saying quite a bit considering I had a Manticore in there as well.
Well, Thunderstomps pulled it out.
Yeah, and so I won combat by 4, and I broke Steadfast. The models don't show it, but he's down to less than a rank, and I kept a rank, so he wasn't Steadfast. He broke. He doesn't have a BSB. And I would have caught him. I didn't catch him. We decided to call the game at the bottom of turn 6. It's probably when we should have called it anyways, because he was less than 25%, so he would need Snake Eyes to rally. So, end of a good game. I'd like to keep playing his pseudo new Beastman list. Obviously, one game isn't diagnostic, especially when I don't know how hard of a list his was. Mine wasn't terribly hard. It was scary. Note to self, never charge a Shaggoth into a building. That was just dumb on my part.
That was bad rolling on your part.
Well, that was the whole game, except for Kolek's 1 turn, and he brought it through that turn. So, I'll put the rules up again at the end of this if you want to give it a look. Welcome your thoughts as always, and as always, happy wargaming.
All right, folks, it's a couple weeks after we played this battle, and I am only now getting around to putting the battle report together. And so I've had time to think about my list, but particularly the Beastmen list, and so I want to talk about those. For my list, I really like the Dragon Ogre-themed list. It's not the traditional Warriors one. It's got some tough fighters between Kolek and the Chimera. I'm not really a big fan of Slaanesh. I like Slaanesh magic. I don't like the models so much, or the background behind Slaanesh, and that's a lot of what drives my gaming. Lore of Slaanesh is awesome. Great synergies. I'm not breaking any new ground with this. So I look forward to doing more with hopefully some trolls here pretty soon, just to make that monster theme list. I may actually go no magic altogether, just so I can keep with the monster theme, unless I end up getting Galrock. But that's beside the point. I like the Shaggoths. I won't charge a Shaggoth into a building again. I like the Dragon Ogres. I like Kolek. I like the speed that... I just like everything about the list. It's just very different from normal Warrior stuff. But more importantly about my friend's proposed changes to the Beastmen army book. You know, initially you heard me grousing. I heard myself grousing a lot about the points changes that he had put in and the lore attributes and giving Bestigor another attack. And all in all, I actually think in hindsight that the changes are dead on accurate. The Beastmen need something, particularly against Strength 4. I mean, they don't have an armor save really anywhere. So anything that improves their killiness is well worthwhile. No, I didn't play everything in his new army book. We didn't play a Gorgon or a Jabberslaith or a Giant or any of those things, so I don't know how they synergize. But I actually really like the lore of the wild. The first I thought the lore attribute was a little overpowered, and now I'm kind of okay with it. They're going to be brutal in combat. I just wonder how GW will square that with the Warriors, who are supposed to kind of be the elite of chaos. Suddenly you're going to be out weapon skilling if you can get the right spells off. If you can spam enough Lore of the Wild, you're going to be out weapon skilling and out initiativing chaos for 2 turns. The rest of your turn and then your opponent's turn. But I think that's okay, because there are trade-offs in the Beastmen army book. So we got another game in after this one, which I did not film, and I think the army plays really well. If anything, I think they could use a little bit more sprucing up, or a little bit more power. So bottom line, I like my Dragon Ogre-themed list. You're going to see it again when I get the bat rep out for the 10,000 pointer game we had with 3 of my buddies, including the Beastmen player. But I really like these rules we're playing with the Beastmen. Now, whether any of this comes to pass, when GW finally gets around to the new Beastmen book, I don't know. But I hope they do something similar to what you saw here today. So that's going to finish up for this battle report. I should have another one out in a couple of days, I hope. Real life, if real life issues allow it. So happy wargaming.